Scott from My Life's Reward. This week, talking about self-reflections, what I experienced over the last few years, coming right up. Well, here we go on this topic of self-reflection. I do have some notes that I've written down here that I want to make sure I cover all the information that I thought of on this topic. So if I do look like I'm distracted or my eyes aren't making contact with the camera, my apologies. So with all the activities available in life nowadays, most of us spend the bulk of our time with human-made noises, such as listening to music, a television, traffic, construction work, the hum of a fluorescent light's always catching the ear if you're in an office environment, a running refrigerator or freezer, and the list goes on and on. Man-made noises everywhere. The road, the cars. It's just, you can hardly go anywhere and not hear something. Plane. So taking a walk in a park or a trail helps with exercise and clearing the mind. Some do so in solitude, listening to the sounds of nature, while others have music, podcasts, or audiobooks playing. So I want to do something that fit my lifestyle to experience nature. I found some activities that connected me with the outdoors and offered a bonus I was not expecting. And a lot of those activities I've shared with you on the YouTube channel. Recently here in 2021, I had done it since earlier, several years earlier, but just started recording. So and I'll continue to do that. So now a new outdoor self-reliance activity that I experienced was in 2019. I wanted to try some new things while I still had the physical ability to do so. So I wanted to paddle most of the mighty Muskegon River, the longest river in Michigan. So I set out to look for a canoe, not knowing much about the different manufacturers and the canoe lingo. I soon learned terms like rocker, thwarts, yokes, gunnels, primary and secondary stabilization, freeboard, draft, and the importance of weight distribution. As I entered into this new world, I did not know if I would even like paddling a canoe. My background has seen lots of time on the water using the modern conveniences of motorized watercrafts. In my younger years, I spent some time rowing a boat, and that was the extent of my manual watercraft labor. I'm well versed in motorized watercraft and the rules of water navigation. Boat terminology such as the bow, stern, starboard, and port are all familiar to me. With buoys, red right returning, and with weather, red skies at night, sailors delight, red skies in the morning, sailors take warning. I never sank a boat before, so I felt in a good place to take what I thought as an elementary step down, emphasize down, to a canoe. Not accurate. This was a step up. Paddling requires skill, technique, logic, and well, you get the idea. There's a lot more to it. So I ended up purchasing a Winona Adirondack 16-foot tandem canoe in a maroon color. At this point, having secured a canoe, paddles, and other equipment, it was time to do a test trip. The first paddling test trip was on the Muskegon River with Jennifer, my wife. We paddled from Rivers Bend Bluff to the launch at Rogers Pond Boat Launch. The trip was uneventful. The next attempt was with my son Kyle. We planned on canoeing the Manistee River from Houghton Pile Dam to Tippy Dam Pond boat ramp at the end of Robinson Road. Well, that didn't go well. We never did the trip because we tipped over twice at our entry point. With the 2 dunks and everything all wet, we both called it quits for this attempt. I normally don't quit things, but when everything's wet, it wasn't very much fun anymore. If we only knew better, the entry point on the west side of the river, instead of the east where we were, would have been a much better choice. We did end up doing this trip this past summer with my friend Jim and his son Riley, and that video can be seen here. At this point, Kyle is 100% turned off of paddling a canoe, and we have not gone paddling on a trip together to this day. I have regrets that this bad experience for Kyle has potentially ruined the glorious experience of paddling a canoe and seeing the outdoors through this lens. For the time being, I was on my own. Paddling a canoe, relying 100% on my own effort with unknown obstacles, I planned a trip from approximately Houghton Lake to Big Rapids. I did not know it, but I was about to experience something I had not really done since the start of my adult life. This experience was life-changing for me. To paint a better picture, I need to go back to my younger days. In most of my teenage years, I spent my time mowing lawns, shoveling snow, trapping muskrats, and working in the fields. Yes, I said trapping muskrats. It is not something that I would do today, but I want to assure you my sets were humane and the sets quickly dispatched the animal to minimize any suffering. At 18, I worked for a year on a farm driving machinery and repairing equipment. Then I attended a university and worked in the food cafeteria, a computer lab, and repaired computers. My career progressed while I started a family, more life, and then I was 55 years old. I looked back and wondered what happened. Back to my life-changing experience. I learned on this paddling expedition that when you are by yourself, essentially in the middle of nowhere, roads non-existent, the path forward is on your own shoulders. So when the river was impassable by water, the canoe and its contents had to be carried. In the upper portions of the Muskegon, from M55 to M61, no joke, there were about 30 to 40 portages. Most were easy, though in some cases a bit nerve-wracking. Others, not so much. With some of the harder obstacles, analysis and denial set in. When I encountered a more difficult obstacle, I asked myself, do I really have to do this? Realizing there is no way out other than the path down the river, the conclusion was in front of me, and that was yes, there are obstacles that require thought and physical hard work. Get over it. So I got to it. Looking back, that hard work and in some cases a bit of stress have cemented the experience in my memories. I'll never forget this trip. Would I do it again? Well, if you would have asked me this question soon after I completed it, I would have probably said no. But there is something pulling me back to do it again, and this time perhaps the whole thing from Houghton Lake through Reedsburg Dam, Rogers Dam, Hardy Dam, and Croton Dam. I did not mention it earlier, but my paddling trip avoided dams and reservoirs to help reduce the number of portages and paddling challenges of slack water of reservoirs. Another part of my life-changing experience, the majority of the time on this trip was spent floating, paddling, and reflecting. Through this trip, I found that long periods of time were spent thinking about life, relationships, mortality, and so many more self things. Finally, I am talking about the topic of this video, self-reflection. Sometimes it can be painful to reflect on past memories, but try and reconcile them as best as possible. Also, it can be rewarding to think about good memories and ways to make more. I would classify myself as an introvert. I cherish my family members, my lifelong friends, and several of the people that I work with. This YouTube channel is a bit out of my comfort zone, but an opportunity for me to be creative and engage with all of you and help expand my experiences. When I'm on a trip alone, like this Muskegon River trip that I explained to you, however, I did have my golden retriever Pixie with me, the hours upon hours of paddling fill what I call life's tank. The peace and tranquility of nature and hearing it without disruption is glorious. The time without interruption to self-reflect, to me, is life-giving. The times and trips that I spend solo are only good up to a point. When my life tank is full, I do start to feel the loss of not being around my wife, children, and friends. When I do reconnect after one of these kinds of trips, the quality and appreciation is amplified. Also, I try to remember to not take life for granted and to live every day like it is my last. Self-reflection, my recommendation is to try it. either through a trip like I've described, doing yoga, walking in a park or a trail, or sitting in your backyard by yourself and decompressing and reflecting on choices and where you are at in your life and how you're impacting others in your life. Everyone is unique, and what I'm sharing here may not be helpful to you, but something out there is for you, and it could help find inner peace and tranquility and happiness. So keep trying. Hey, thanks for stopping by the channel and checking this video out. And until next week, take care and thank you.